They say it takes a village, but what if your whole village is suffering? Can hope and gratitude still lead the way? Today, we'll talk to a whole family with long COVID. Coming up on The Long Haul with Summer. Welcome to the next episode of The Long Haul with Summer, where we are talking about real stories, real solutions, innovative ways of care, and challenging traditional medicine. Today, I'm so excited to have a family here with us in the studio and talk to them about how long COVID affected their family, and we're going to hear all about their journey. So welcome to the studio, Julie.
Thank you.
And we have Sara remote. And if y'all could first just tell me who is here today and kind of give me a little background information.
Okay, I'm Juli Carr. This is my daughter, Sara. She's the third of our 5 children.
Mm-hmm.
We have both experienced long COVID. 2 of my other kids did as well, but not here today. So we'd love to talk to y'all about it.
Great. Okay. And Sara is joining us remotely. Hi, Sara.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having us. We're very excited to chat today. As my mom said, I'm number 3 of 5. So I've been living in New York and then Boston, and now I'm back in school in Philly getting my MBA. So I unfortunately haven't been close to the South recently in the past couple of years, but thank you guys for having me virtually.
Yeah, we're so excited. Technology can do anything these days. So let's talk about you guys getting sick. So you both have said, you had long COVID. So tell me, what does that mean? What does that look like? When did you get sick? Kind of talk me through some of that. And we'll start with you, Julie.
Okay. 2020, I had the Moderna vaccine, followed with the booster.
Mm-hmm.
December 2022, I got active COVID. Knocked me down for a week, or what I would consider down, in bed, don't remember much, etc. Sick a couple of weeks. We were on family vacation. I tried to stay away from everybody. At the time, I didn't know it was COVID.
Right.
Thought it was the flu. Got home, couldn't smell, right away tested.
Yeah.
Knew it was flu. Knew it was COVID. And a week and a half later, symptoms resolved a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after, I became bedridden again. Muscle spasms, couldn't do anything. Knew something was wrong, thought I was having a relapse.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidentally, talked to a friend, and not about this, but turns out he was friends with Dr. Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I really think you have long COVID. At the time, never heard of it.
Right.
And by then, it was February of 2023. Got me in to see him, and then it progressed from there.
Okay. And Sara, were you sick at the same time, or what was the timeline for you? Were you on that family vacation?
Yes, I was on that family vacation. We were at the beach. I think a couple of us got COVID, and I think my mom definitely got hit the hardest. And I would venture to say that probably has something to do just with different age profile.
Uh-huh.
But I seemed to recover, in a normal week, 2-week timeline. But I never really got back to my normal feeling like super energetic. And so by the time I got back, I feel like it was a pretty gradual decline back down to just worse symptoms over the course of probably 2 months for me. I feel like my mom it was a lot more acute and quick. She never quite was able to get her step back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I got to a point where I could live a decently normal life for about a month, and then just gradually over the course of 3 months just got progressively worse until my symptoms were to the point that I actually had to come home in May/June of 2023 for a couple of months to get treatment.
Okay, so it sounds like you found your way to Dr. Vaughn right before Sara came home sick. Do you think that once you kind of had the clue about yourself and found your way to Dr. Vaughn, you were like, oh, Sara, this is it. This is the same thing. Like, did you make those ties, or how did that?
Not at first.
Uh-huh.
Hers was so gradual.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was February for me that I got Dr. Vaughn. By May, she said, I'm struggling. I can't exercise. Something is wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
Her symptoms of COVID were not severe, and so it just didn't click. It was all so new. And then when she had to come home, I said, we got to go get you checked.
Yeah.
And then it clicked when she couldn't pick her head up and said she had to leave work because I've never seen anything get her down and stop her before. I knew something was off.
So both of y'all, it sounds like, got pretty sick then around the same time, but were you already getting treatment by the time Sarah came home? Okay, so you already had treatment. But before that, can y'all talk a little bit about what did it feel like to like watch each other struggle? As a mom, I mean, that's hard. Like, you take care of your kid when they're sick, and now you're sick. And, you know, as a kid, you even, I know you're a grown adult, but like, you want your mom, you know, if you're sick. And so how did that affect, you know, what you were going through?
It was hard to see her struggle. I'm not used to seeing her down and in the bed and say that she can't concentrate or remember. That was hard because she was in Boston. I was actually very relieved when she said I have to take medical leave. I knew I could watch her, have my hands on her. So, you know, it obviously, I had already been treated or gotten treatment. Still not great. Still wasn't 100%. But just seeing her, then my focus was on her. That made me forget about my issues.
So that's helpful. At least you're a little further along in your timeline.
Yeah.
Sarah, how did it make you feel to watch your mom struggle through all of that? And then it sounds like start to get better. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it was really hard. Like my mom said, me being so far away, I felt almost hopeless and like I couldn't help her. You know, like I knew, especially when she was much worse than me at the beginning before I gradually got worse. It's like I was so far away. I couldn't help her around the house, pick up things, go to the grocery. And I just felt like I knew that she was struggling just to get through the day and through the week and, you know, continuing to carry her load. And I was helpless and I couldn't do anything to help her. And, you know, we only had one of the 5 home at the time, so she could help. But I think the rest of us were just feeling scared and upset. And like, we would love to take more of the burden for her, but we weren't there and home to do it.
Yeah. That was actually what I was going to ask is, were any of the children in the house when this was going on?
The youngest.
And the youngest was not sick?
No, she was not.
Okay. And that's hard. I mean, how, Sarah, I know you had other siblings get sick as well too, right?
Yes. So my oldest brother and then the sister behind me. And, you know, it's interesting. I remember thinking, and I think I had this conversation with my mom the summer I got sick and came home. At this point, I was the only one who had been diagnosed and had been suffering from these symptoms. And I remember thinking to myself and saying, I'm so glad that it's me and that it's not Grace who later got sick or in Harrison, because, you know, I feel like they were very pivotal parts in their college experience and their high school experience. And I feel like I was kind of at a point in my career where, you know, I kind of had established myself and I could take medical leave for a couple of months. And so it was really hard to turn around and see them have the same issues. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think as hard as this experience has been, I think something my mom and I talked a lot about that summer is a sense of gratitude that, one, we caught this. A lot of people and before we knew what was going on and were officially diagnosed, we thought we were going crazy because a lot of these symptoms feel on paper so subjective. And you're like, am I imagining this? Did I change something in my routine that is making me forget everything? You know, like, why can't I feel my legs and, you know, the vascular system? And so I think that we were just grateful that we found out what was going on and found Dr. Vaughn. And so when my siblings were diagnosed, you know, they got the genetic blood tests done. So I think it was it was tough, but it was also relief that, okay, we're going to get them on the treatment that they need in case it gets worse. So it was mixed feelings of relief that we know what's going on, but also just tough to watch everybody go through it.
Yeah, I mean, as you're speaking, like, this resonates with me because, you know, I have a young daughter who also had long COVID. And I remember when I found Dr. Vaughn, he started treating me, I started getting better. It is a sense of relief. Like, she has the same genetic clotting disorder too. She's actually homozygous. She's 4G as well. And I remember thinking, okay, good, because at least I know how to fix her. Because I know, you know, that's what has fixed me. So it's weird. I mean, it does give you some sense of like relief. I don't know that makes it any better. It certainly is a challenge. But so I know we're all talking about, yes, we got to Dr. Vaughn, we got treatment. But talk to me about before that. I mean, What happens before that and before you find that, relief or sense of relief in getting actual treatment? Talk to me about that journey.
I was very fortunate. Mine was probably a month.
Okay.
I got to him so fast due to the connection I mentioned. And I did not have the prolonged time period where people weren't believing me or, I didn't know what was wrong. I knew immediately.
Okay.
So
That's
super
good. Yeah.
fortunate.
Yeah.
During that time, I still thought I was falling apart. I couldn't lift my head, thought I had ongoing flu that I would never get rid of. So mine was a little different than Sarah's or my other children.
Yeah. And so, Sarah, did you have any experience like with a traditional medical system before you found your way to Dr. Vaughn to get treatment?
No, fortunately, my mom, by the time my symptoms got to the point where we were like, something's up, my mom had already gone through the process with Dr. Vaughn. And so they started to speculate, I bet she has the genetic disorder as well. So that made it easier for me. And I'm like, I can't even imagine having been through the 1 to 2 month period of questioning what is wrong with me. I can't imagine the people that have done that for years. And especially when your symptoms come on so gradually, you really do start to think, okay, maybe my sleep routine's off. Maybe this project at work is just really more challenging than I expected and it's sucking everything out of me. But, eventually you reach that point where you're like, no, something's wrong. I know something's wrong. And fortunately, my mom and Dr. Vaughn were right there ready to listen, which I know we're fortunate to have that experience so quickly.
Yeah, no, thank goodness. I've talked to several people that was not the case. They've brought me stacks of their medical records and talk about all the specialists and the gaslighting. So, I mean, I'm thankful that you guys certainly did not have to experience that. Tell me, it's also interesting too that yours came on pretty acutely and Sarah, yours came on gradually, although genetically you're similar. I mean, it's weird how it affects everyone so differently, even within the same, household. And I think that's what we're having difficulty wrapping our head around for this, long COVID pandemic, I think that we're still having, is that it's not the same for every person, even if it's within your house. I mean, even the acute illness, I mean, for us, there were, my husband was really sick with GI stuff. I had a sneeze. My daughter had high fevers. Like, it's not even the same for everyone. And I think that's what makes it so difficult is that everybody experiences that differently. Sarah, I'll ask you first. Tell me a little bit about like what was your worst, most debilitating symptom that finally was like, I have to fix this.
I would say I struggled the most with dizziness, brain fog, and just completely forgetting things. And that was really scary. At first, I was like, okay, maybe this is what they mean by you're getting older. Like, okay, I had the point, I'm 25, I'm 26, like maybe I'm starting, it's just happening. And then I would say the moment that I knew it was time to go home is I worked a lot. I was working 100 hours a week. And so it was not uncommon to feel tired or to feel fuzzy. But this got to the point where I was like, I'm forgetting people's names that I know at work. And that's not normal for me. And I remember one day I was on a very busy project. It had been a very busy 2 weeks. And I called my mom and was like, I cannot feel my arms and I cannot feel my legs. And I'm scared. And that was the moment that her and Dr. Vaughn were like, you need to come home immediately. So that was for me the moment I knew. But I would say the brain fog and the forgetfulness was the scariest and most acute symptom for me.
Yeah, especially to be there by yourself and not have any, support system around you. I can imagine that that's terrifying. And thank goodness you can get home and get to a safe haven, especially where, your mom already kind of knows what's going on, already has this pegged in her head. What for you, Juli, was the most debilitating symptom?
I think the brain fog, but I think first and foremost was the fatigue. I had a super active lifestyle, didn't require much sleep ever. All of a sudden, I was just halted in my tracks. I couldn't keep my head up all day. I couldn't exercise without wanting to just lay down on the floor. It was absolutely 180 degrees from my norm.
Yeah, which is...
it was pretty fast, too. Yeah. Mine hit pretty fast, which tells me I probably had those clots way before I had the COVID infection.
Yeah.
From, I guess from the vax.
Yeah. And Sarah, did you get vaccinated? I don't remember.
I got vaccinated, to move to New York and go to work, you had to.
Right.
In the summer of 21, I would say it's interesting. I didn't think much about it. The first vaccine, I was fine. The second dose, I was out having a light version of a lot of the symptoms that I explained for about a month. And the reason I'm pretty acutely aware of my body's performance because I track, I work out every day and I track all my stats, my heart rate variability, calories, how I
love that.
So I know when something's up because my stats start going down tremendously. And to second my mom, I would say fatigue was at the top of the list. Like it's crazy to go from working out and being comfortable, knowing what you can do physically to struggling to walk to the office across the street from where I lived. So yes, was vaccinated, struggled with that, kind of rebounded, obviously. And then just after COVID, actually getting hit with COVID, it was just way more severe.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I too both had the virus and the vaccines, and I feel like the more I had, the worse it was, but I didn't know, at the time, and you just do what you think is best. So tell me, you're talking about Dr. Vaughn, you got treatment. So what does that look like? Tell me about treatment. Tell me about specifically what did you have done?
February of 2023, I went on the triple anticoagulant therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Started my supplements, started really just the triple anticoag and everything else that he was starting to get. I didn't have a sheet. I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
He just said, go to my pharmacy. This is what you're taking. It was early.
Yeah.
And now I know things look a lot different.
Right.
But that's what I started. I'm a nurse. I had never been on Eliquis. I had never been on, I didn't even take aspirin.
Yeah.
I didn't take anything.
Right.
I didn't even take vitamins before all this. Now I have to organize my pills. And try to remember to take them. Anyway, that's what it looked like. So went from 0 medications in my life to a lot.
Pillbox.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. You said you're a nurse. Obviously, I'm too. And I remember talking to Dr. Vaughn that first day about what was wrong. And I was like, yes, you're right. He showed me the PowerPoint. This is it. And I remember saying, okay, now how do we fix it? And he told me about the anticoagulants. And I was like,
stop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because as a nurse, I'm thinking, oh, that's scary.
Yep.
I mean, when you think about blood thinners, it made sense to me, but I'm going to take them myself. And I mean, tell me about that moment. Like, how did you feel?
Shocked.
Yeah.
My husband's an orthopedist. And when I called and told him, he said, oh, no, you can't get on Eliquis. No.
Right.
This is best. I said, no, and explained to him, and it made sense to him after. But it's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was nervous. I didn't want to hit my head.
Right.
So nervous to bump anything.
Yeah.
So that became life-changing in itself. Bruises everywhere. Got used to it, but everything changes once you start doing all that. But it was worth it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's interesting how my perspective changed because I've given those pills as a nurse. I've prescribed those pills as a nurse practitioner. And now I'm all of a sudden pumping the brakes to swallow it myself. But, ultimately, I mean, it's the right thing to do. The pathophysiology makes sense. You're medical, that. So, Sarah, did you also take the anticoagulants when you finally got to treatment?
I did. So I had a little bit, because my symptoms were so gradual and, not as severe at the beginning, they put me on a low dose when I was still in Boston, aspirin, some of the supplements, and things got a little bit better for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then I kind of got some tough projects at work where I was working a lot for 3 months. And that was really when I escalated quickly. So at that point, they kind of called me home. And that's when I started everything that my mom started. So all the blood thinners and whatnot. I, not coming from a medical background, did not fully appreciate the risk associated with blood thinners. So I'm literally watching you guys like, wow, this is, I'm glad I was fearful.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did wear my little blood thinner bracelet. And I think, for the first month, I was a little scared to leave the house. So, my mom and I stayed home quite a bit. And little by little, I kind of gained the courage to go back into the real world and went back to work after 2 months. But I was unbelievably careful because my mom had told me I needed to be. So
Yeah.
it definitely impacted my life for as long as I was on blood thinners. And I remember talking to Dr. Vaughn at the beginning of the process, and it was so new at this point. So no one really knew how long treatment was going to take. And he kind of said, most people kind of start, at least 3 months, maybe 6 months. And I went to my best friend at work. I said, I'm not going to be able to work out for 3 months. How am I going to do this for 3 months? And then in hindsight, it ended up being about 15 months for me. And so it's so, on the front end, it seems so daunting, but, you end up having to get through it because you have to. And, you got to see the bright side and hope at the end of the tunnel. And I remember how discouraging it was when I felt like the entirety of treatment was ahead of me. And it's a daunting, scary thing.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I have this conversation with patients all the time. I mean, and they ask me the same question, like, how long? I mean, I took them myself for 9 months. I still take aspirin and some other, lots of other supplements. And that's the thing. We don't know. I don't know. It's different for every person. I think that every person's level of severity is different. The way that it's, cause inflammation, other things with the clotting in their body, it's hard to tell. And so you can't really give that answer. But it is very daunting for you as a person, but also for me as a provider to think about, because I know I've also experienced that. So it's hard for me to have that conversation with people and say, I don't know, it could be 3 months. It could be a year and a half. I mean, we don't know is the thing. So both of you took the anticoagulants. It's scary, right? There's risk involved, but you're making an informed decision. But so Juli, help me with this, because this is where I struggled as a mom. It was really easy for me to do it to myself. Like, I will swallow these pills. This is what I have to do to get better. I'm getting better. I'm going to keep doing this. But when it came to my child, it was a whole different ball game.
Yep.
So did you have those thoughts?
Yes, absolutely. Especially with her in Boston.
Right.
I worried about everything. Getting to work. I don't have her on a tracker. So anyway, not at 28, 27. That was hard.
Yeah.
Because I was worried, what if she gets hit by a car? And she forgot her bracelet. So yes, I was very fearful. Totally different.
Yeah.
Me and my child.
For sure.
And I had 3 on them at the same time.
Oh my gosh. I
was a wreck.
Yeah, I remember, because Millie, when we finally got her to treatment, she was 3 when she got sick. She was 5 when I finally got her to DC. And I remember the hematologist that we met with saying, great, let's anticoagulate her. And I'm sitting there in Washington, DC with my husband and my 5-year-old. And I'm like, okay, I wanted you to say that, right? Because that's the right thing to do. I know in myself, but like, what? I mean, and I have to make this decision for her,
right?
And so it is a whole different scenario, I think, when you have your children involved. Now, obviously, I mean, you're an adult, Sarah, and you're making your own decision. I mean, it's not the same, but maybe still, I mean, your child is your child no matter what, and you have that worry.
I was fearful they wouldn't listen to me and realize the magnitude of how important the anticoags were. None of them want to take medicine.
Right.
All if I need a Tylenol, maybe I'll take it.
Yeah.
So I was fearful that they wouldn't take me serious about the protocol because they've never been sick.
Right. Yeah. And Sarah, I mean, I know you said, it's daunting. You're thinking about these medicines. Maybe you didn't fully appreciate, what anticoagulation was, but was it helpful to you to know that your mom, went before you to do this and, she's better, she's good, everything is fine?
Absolutely. It was super helpful, that. And then also just her medical background. I think she understood the conversations when Dr. Vaughn was in the room explaining things on a medical level way better than I could ever imagine. And so when she understood and she felt comfortable, I felt comfortable. And she made me feel safe in that way. But it's interesting during the diagnosis, especially when you're looking at the treatment plan, it's a strange combination. And I'm sure people can hopefully relate to this, of you feel so validated that they found what was wrong. And like, when Dr. Vaughn took my blood test and found severe clotting, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not crazy. Like there's such validation. So it's so hopeful, yet so daunting at the same time.
Yeah, I remember the day. I remember that day. I was very excited. Like, and I called my husband, telling him he's a nurse, and I was telling him what I was going to take, and he was like, "Ooh, okay, can we talk about this before you do it?" But I remember the day that I got my VQ scan on my lungs, and they found clots in my lungs, and this is after I had found Dr. Vaughn, and they called to tell me, and I was so excited. Yes, I am not crazy. Okay, it turns out there is something wrong with me. I think the validation is finally what I needed to like get my life in order to do whatever it took to get better. Even if it was daunting, that is what kept, pushing me, is that I was finally validated. There is something wrong. There is a solution to it. It is very outside the box. So talk to me about that. Did you, within your family or even external to your family, now you've got these off-label medications, these, treatments that are innovative, no one's doing it. Did other members of your family question this, or people outside your family unit maybe?
Nobody in the family did.
Okay.
My husband and I are medical.
Mm-hmm.
None of the children have chosen that path. And so they tend to just listen to us most of the time regarding medicine.
Yeah.
So that helped. Outside the family, yes. I didn't talk about it a lot because I wasn't able to go anywhere.
Right.
I was too fatigued and on the sofa or in the bed. So I didn't have a lot of interaction with people.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, when people would say, "Why do you have that bracelet on?" "Oh, well, I'm on 3 different blood thinners because of microclots." Yes. Then they would look at me strangely.
Yeah. What about you, Sarah? Did you have like any of your peers or anyone question what you were doing?
Yeah, I would say when I tried to verbalize my symptoms, I feel like people were probably like, oh, that kind of feels subjective. And I kind of got the sense when I went back to work and, would explain the situation to people that maybe it was taboo to talk about for some reason. And look, I don't know all the medical information, the processes, the jargon around that. I was just at a point and am at a point, where I'm like, okay, I'm sick. I'm not feeling well. I'm not right. I would do anything it takes to try to get better, whether that's experimental, new, in the process of being studied. So I was so willing to do that. And I think a lot of people were, more concerned about my illness than, making it taboo, which is nice. But what's interesting is the finance firm I was working at, out of maybe 20 associates, 3 people had to take medical leave related to COVID issues. And so I felt like my work was extremely understanding. They were unbelievable with my medical leave, with every single one of us, and knew, they were very supportive, which was helpful because that's where I spent the vast majority of my time. But I do think, I didn't quite understand. And when I posted things on social media about, thank you for the thoughts and prayers as I'm in recovery, like, here's a link for anybody else struggling with this, Instagram took it down.
Same.
Deactivated the link. And so I sense that there's something taboo about this, but I don't know why it's become political. I feel like the issue should be helping people. And so many people are struggling with this issue. So, my hope is that the political guards can be taken down and we can just seek to find truth and treatment and awareness for people to get help.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, and I think that's what we're here to do now, is to hear people tell their story, and to put that out there. And patients ask me all the time, what can I do? What can I do to help? And what I say is, tell your story. Mm-hmm. Tell all the providers that you saw you're better. This is what got you better. And it's not to prove them wrong. Oh gosh, you were wrong and we were right. And look what got me better and you didn't. It's to gain power in our army, to have more resources to help more people, because there are so many people suffering. And that is just what I encourage people to do, is speak that you were not well and you took these medications. Yes, they're off label, but they made you better and they're safe and nothing happened. And now you have your life back. So, I mean, thank you for being brave and saying those things. It has become very politically charged. I do not understand why, but we have a lot of challenges, with that. And so it takes the bravery of you guys coming here and saying the things that you're saying. So I certainly appreciate that. Talking about the bracelets and things, I remember Millie was starting kindergarten the year she was started getting treated, and we got a bracelet for her. And all of a sudden she's having to explain, why she has a special bracelet on. We're having to meet with people at school, the school nurse, and make all these plans and go to after school care and talk about like quick clot and all the things in this bracelet, and trying to explain to a 5-year-old, why they have to wear this. And there were days where she's like, Mommy, I don't want to wear this. People ask me why. And, it's a whole process of like, you've accepted it in your family. You know that it's the right thing. It's safe. You're getting better. But then outside your family unit and your house, it's a scary place because it is taboo. And why? I don't know. I mean, in some ways it still is, but I hope we're breaking down that barrier. So you guys, I want to shift gears a little bit because I know you guys both were anticoagulated. But what else special fun did you have after that? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes.
Okay.
So interestingly enough, Sarah started having leg symptoms. I believe, was it September of 23, sis? And we went to Vaughn, routine checkup, and she mentioned this. He said, let's test you for the vein compression, your iliac vein compression. At the time, I was not having symptoms. She went and got the MRI. Yes, she had compression. She's treated it with different things, not getting a stent. About a month later, I started having symptoms. I thought it was my imagination because I'd talked to her so much about it. Anyway, I ended up getting a stent, but it really was what put me over back to 100%.
And you went to Colorado to have that done?
I did not.
No, you
were
here local.
Here locally.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And Sarah, did you got scented too?
I did not.
You
Fortunately, it's not. My little sister did.
Okay. So,
her symptoms were more severe. The younger one.
Yes, and she also got stented locally.
Correct.
Okay, so 2 with stents, and Sarah, you did not have to have the stent.
Correct. The medicine worked. It took about 6 to 8 months for me, but the medicine that I took really helped my leg.
We got on flu drive.
Okay, great. And can you guys talk to me? I know you're here. I'm hearing you say, this is what put me over. This is what made me back to normal. But how are you feeling now? We'll start with you, Sarah. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's hard to remember what my pre-long COVID self was. I do feel like I still need more sleep than the average, than what I used to. My medicine cabinet is full of supplements that I every day, as you guys can imagine. I think the big step for me was, kind of to rewind, when the summer I was home, I remember thinking, it was scary. There was a couple of months, especially, when I'm starting treatment, and I do feel like something that I wish I'd known going in, and I'm so happy I did it. But when you start treatment, things might feel worse before they get better because all the clots are breaking down. Your vision gets, really bad. I'm sleeping for 20 hours a day for 2 weeks. And I remember sitting there like, I feel like I am dying. And I remember in that time period, I just remember thinking, okay, like I worked really hard in college and then 4 years in, the finance track for 4 years, and I'm working 1 million hours a week. And I just remember thinking, like, if this is it, like, I don't know if if I really lived. Yeah. So in that time period, I actually decided officially to apply to business school. So fast forward 1.5 years later, I'm at business school. That is where I feel like my whole health journey, if you will, changed. I all of a sudden was going from an environment where I'm stressed all the time, working all the time. For context, I worked on Wall Street, so it was very stressful. I was literally working all the time. To, oh my gosh, I'm sleeping like 8 to 10 hours a day. Life is good. I'm back in class, socializing with my friends. And that really changed the trajectory of my health, which has been really enlightening to me that, one, I'm not invincible. None of us are invincible. And 2, prioritizing your health and sleep and putting that first makes a huge difference. And that's what really changed the game for me. And, I'm now back to the point after I got to business school and started sleeping, probably 8 weeks later, I was able to get off a lot of the medications, including the blood thinners. And I'm strong again. And, I'm not sure I'll ever be as strong as I was pre-long COVID. but probably some of that's a function of being a college athlete. And I don't think I'm ever going to be that strong again, but I'm feeling amazing. I'm really grateful for that because I didn't know if this day would come, and I didn't know if I'd ever be able to go on a run again, to ride the bike again, to lift weights again. And that was something that was really scary. And here I am. So I'm so thankful.
Good. Yeah, that's amazing. It's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then all of a sudden you're on the other side, and it's like a blur. Like what happened? And what about you, Julie? How are you feeling?
Post stint, which was March of this year, March 2025. The day after, it was life-changing.
Wow.
Amazing. For 3 months, it was great. I got COVID again in June.
Gosh.
Started my anti-coags again. After weaning off, now I'm working back up to the 100%. And it's what I've learned.
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway I have is that it's a new norm.
Yeah.
That my reality and my day-to-day and how my life is going to be from here on is so different. I have to do things different, and I do have to prioritize my health, like Sarah said.
Yeah, I think I that resonates with me as well. I mean, every patient I see ask me, "So you're healed, you're better." And I feel like that's such a loaded question because, like you, Sarah, I don't know what I felt like. I can't remember what pre-COVID life was like. And so what I tell people is, yes, I'm out of bed. I'm going to work. I can breathe. There are not clots in my lungs. But I battle with my blood sugar and metabolic issues. And it's crazy because it's like it'll never be the same. So it's a new norm, right? And I've learned to live with that. But I really believe that long COVID is a new chronic illness, and it's something we're going to deal with. I don't know that you ever get over it. I mean, I think you get back to a baseline and we function, but we learn new things. But both of you are saying things that I also tell patients, like prioritizing yourself, your health, sleep. I mean, I've learned that I can't push. And if I feel sick, I go lay down, and because otherwise you're going to crash, and then you can't do it the next 2 days. And that is not normal, right?
Right.
So I think it is about learning, how that balance, is again, and you have to kind of reconfigure that. And it is a journey. I feel like younger people bounce back.
Yes.
A lot quicker.
Yes.
We're definitely older, and that doesn't help. But yeah, so you kind of have to take things in stride.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get back to talking about the family, but for a second, I want to talk to you, Julie, and because one of the exciting things is now you're also working with our team.
Yes.
So
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So share a little bit about what you're doing and how that came to be.
Well, Dr. Vaughn would send me articles, and I was trying so hard to understand all this. And like I said, when I saw him, he just showed me a PowerPoint, said, "This is what's wrong with you. Go get these medicines." And at the time, I was just grasping anything. And like I said, my husband was very cautious about this, but I did it. I went full out, believed everything he said, started feeling better. But as I started feeling better, I asked him for information, educate me, tell me what, how can I do this even, better? And he would send me all these things, and I read and read and read. And finally one day he said, you really just need to talk to the patients. Can you just talk to them? And I do feel like I'm a counselor most of the time because obviously I do not have the knowledge that you have or the others. But I feel like there is a purpose, and I feel like even if I sit there for an hour and answer the same question for these poor people who cannot remember they've already asked me 3 times, that there's a purpose for that.
Yeah.
And I think, especially watching my kids be so scared, I think when it's you, like you said, you handle it different, and you can handle anything, but don't mess with my kids.
Right. Yeah.
And seeing my kids so scared, I almost see that in the patients every time, and just want to make them feel better and comfort them and say, hey, this is your new norm, but you got to be strong and tackle it.
Yeah.
You can't just lay down and give up.
Right. Well, So for those of you who don't know, Juli is on our team as an educator and speaks to all the patients, and is our patient educator and helps them kind of through treatment, and answers all their questions, goes through all their medications with them. And like she said, like she's just talking to them. I mean, just having someone listen, I think, and validate.
Yeah.
But do you think it's different that you are also a patient and you can say,
Yes.
yeah. So tell me about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, the other day, there was a female patient and she said, I'm being told I have to have this put in my leg. I said, hey, I gotcha. You know, everybody's different, but this is my experience. And whether that's unprofessional sometimes, I'm not sure. And I do question that. But telling my story, I just feel like it wouldn't be honest and I wouldn't be helping as much as I could if I didn't share my story.
Yeah.
And my girls are okay with me sharing their story as well. But I think it helps. I mean, we're all in it together.
Right.
And only way we're going to get the word out is to share our stories.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I mean, I am very forthcoming with my patients and I say I'm a patient too. Yes, that pill is scary. I took it too. Yes, that pill made me feel bad, but in 2 weeks I felt better. It is helpful for me to use that to help walk people through it.
Yes.
And then of course also with my child, like I wanted to try and do everything first before, we gave it to her, obviously. And I feel the same way about my patients and anything that comes along new. I mean, I was always signing up for it. Give it to me. Let me try it. But yeah, so we're grateful that you have that experience to share with our patients. I think it is certainly helpful. I mean, you do feel so isolated during this. And when you finally get to someone who understands and can listen and validate what you're feeling and what you're going through, I think it is game changing and gives some hope.
Right.
So shifting gears, back to the family, what is it that if we could tell families or tell people who are listening from a family perspective, what do you want them to know about long COVID and its treatment and awareness and all the things?
Sarah, you want to go first?
I would say something, and I hit on this earlier, that we talked a lot about is gratitude. Gratitude that we have a plan, gratitude that we figured out what's going on, and gratitude that this isn't worse. And I think you guys at the clinic see things every day that just kind of make us all realize we are so fortunate to be in the situation where we have been through treatment already. And I think another thing that I struggled with at the beginning, but I think my mom held me accountable, is having hope, not only in the treatment that exists today with Dr. Vaughn, but hope that eventually there will be more research, hope that the science will catch up to what's going on in the treatment plan, and it'll get better, and that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I think it's really hard in the months where you're having trouble getting out of bed and questioning, is the rest of my life going to be like this? I think knowing that so many people have been treated and can at least live a normal life again, I think hopefully, I just hope that gives people hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. And what about you, Juli?
Well, I think the hope and the gratitude, yes. But I think having faith in the process, and confidence in Dr. Vaughn, and really being willing to think outside the box and go outside the box and listen to what he's saying. It all made sense to me medically. I think it was hard on my kids. I think it was the blind faith, but they really bought in.
Yeah.
And they've all improved because of it.
Well, you led the path, right? I mean,
and it made it a lot easier.
Yeah. I mean, again, too, for me and my daughter, I mean, it's terrifying.
Right.
But I've walked this journey. I've gotten better. I know it's the right thing. And I'm showing that to her. I mean, all the scans I had, she had to have, and so I think you have to lead the path, right?
Right.
And that's what we're doing now for patients, is kind of leading the path.
And that's what, like you said, lead the path. And I think the patients, some of them just, the other day, he said, I can't take 9 meds.
Yeah.
I said, oh, but you
This
can.
is just a start.
Didn't say that. Oh, but you can, and you will, and you're going to be better.
Yeah.
And in 2 weeks when I talk to you, you might feel worse. But after that, it's uphill climb.
Yeah.
Just listen and trust us.
Yeah. It is a blind leap of faith. And I can remember, and Sarah, I heard you mention this too. You feel worse before you feel better. And in those moments, you're thinking, what am I doing? I don't feel good. I feel worse. I'm detoxing from COVID. It's this weird out of body experience. But it is a blind leap of faith, because I know at the forefront of that conversation with Dr. Vaughn, like, yes, this makes sense. This is going to get me better. So you do have to just think outside the box and trust in the faith that he has and doing things outside the box. If you can, and I think you guys have probably already kind of done this, but if you could describe your family's journey in one word, what would it be, Sarah?
I would say resilience.
Yeah.
I think that, it was really hard for all of us to see our mom down, and it still is. It's her new normal is different than her old normal, and that's really hard for us to see. And then I think with each child that got diagnosed or got the genetic, marker read back, I think it's tough, right? And it's just like you take a step back, but then you got to learn how to walk forward, because that's the only way you get through.
Yeah, that's a great word, and that's what it takes for sure. What about you?
I think ongoing.
Yeah.
And I think because as a mom, every day your experiences are what your kids are going through.
Mm-hmm.
So one might be getting better, and then the next one calls and says they're not feeling good again. So it's ongoing, but all in all, it's hopeful and better. Good. I'm so thankful, though, that we know how their bodies respond to this, because we're proactive is probably even a better word.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're proactive. All my kids are really health conscious. And this has really helped us maybe focus on longevity and what we need to do for that.
Yeah, I know you and I have had many conversations about...
Yes, I love talking to you about all.
Because it is a lifestyle change, and I think it was a rude awakening for me and my family. I considered us healthy before, doing healthy things, but that means something completely
totally
different now.
Yes.
I think about the things I put in my body, on my body. I don't think I was as aware of that before. But now when you fight for your life and your kids and lives, and I think it changes your perspective. And even the food that we eat can be medicine. I mean, we're talking about inflammation in our bodies. How can we get rid of that? And the thing that you can control without the pill is what you consume and, what you do on a daily basis, and if you're getting restorative sleep. So it does give a sense of empowerment, but life is definitely different.
Very different.
Post-COVID.
And I thought I ate clean until I talked to you.
Well, that's been a journey and a process in and of itself. Maybe we can come back, have another episode and talk about healthy recipes and how to live and eat in this crazy environment that we live in, where survival has been really just the top thing. Mm-hmm. But when you get your life back and you try to reset, then the lifestyle for your family is completely different. And the way you think about it, I think, is completely different. Well, is there anything else that you guys can add to the conversation or want to say to anyone listening about anything about long COVID or anything that's on your heart today?
Sarah?
I think something for me that I struggled with, and it might have been one of, beside the medical components, it might have been the most challenging thing, is I think that you feel so much like you lose your identity in this whole process. I think, for me, for example, I felt I was active, the athlete, and then all of a sudden I go from that and, working all the time to barely being able to think, articulate myself, and move. And I feel like my whole identity became this illness. And I feel like, it impacted my social life. Oh, like she can't go or she can't do this because, she's on blood thinners or whatnot. And I feel like it became my identity. And that was really scary and really challenging for me. And so I think that, if I could go back and tell myself one thing, I would say have hope that it's going to get better and you're going to find yourself again and your identity again. And you don't have to make the illness your identity, but you do have to listen to your body. And that is going to change some things about your life for a temporary period, but there's hope that it's going to get better.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's great to have that perspective. I'm humbled, I think, every day when I think about, where I've been and where I am now. It definitely taught me humility. And resilience, so that's a good word.
And we're not invincible.
We are not invincible. Yes,
Right.
that is a harsh reality. Even, I mean, and young, healthy people, athletes and athletic and active people, I mean, this rocks them to the core and puts them in bed. And it strips you of your identity and all the things that took my stress away, going to work out and going to work and, being with my family. None of those things I had anymore. And so you kind of have to refocus on things to get through that. But is there any last things you want to say, Julie?
I think what Sarah said is the identity thing.
Mhm.
I had never been knocked down by any kind of sickness, and my kids were used to seeing me a certain way
Yeah.
and with a certain strength,
Mhm.
and that has been hard for them to look at me a little bit different. Whether they verbalize it or not, I can tell,
Yeah.
and that's bothered me a lot. But I'm still here,
Yeah.
and seeing our patients every week, I realize how fortunate I am.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, gosh, I cannot tell you how thankful I am that the two of you are here.
Thank you for having
Thank you.
us.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, it's been so amazing talking to you. It makes me feel better and validated, for also having gone through this with my child and as a family. I think it's really important we get this message out. And so thank you for your bravery, for going through treatment, for thinking outside the box and trusting and having blind faith, and then for telling your story, because that's really what we need to do. So I just appreciate you. And I'm
Absolutely.
so thankful that you guys are on the up and up and getting your life back and getting things back to normal, whatever that is. So I just appreciate you.
Thank you again for
Thank you.
having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, you guys heard all about how long COVID sometimes is a family affair. And I'm so grateful that we are able to come to the table and talk about that. And we have, a great family here who's been through a lot and has proven a lot of resilience. And so just, use that, as a positive reinforcement that, if you're dealing with this too, that, there are people who can help. You just have to find your way to them, and that there is strength in the family unit, and you have to use, the people around you to support you through it. So we just appreciate you coming to hear these real stories from real patients and how innovative solutions help get them back to their normal life. So thank you for joining us today.